You're listening to Space in Between, a podcast for the stuff we usually whisper and the uncomfortable truths we prefer not to face. I'm Vesna, and I'm not here to teach you closure techniques or give you a 7-step strategy to become unghostable. I'm here to notice what often goes unseen and question the stories we've come to accept as normal. In the last episode, we talked about adultism, that quiet, almost invisible belief that adults always know best and that young people need to earn the right to be taken seriously. We explored how it shows up in everyday moments when we dismiss, control, or silence younger voices just because we can. It's the kind of power that often goes unspoken, but not unfelt.
I never planned to be in psychoeducation. I kind of fell into it. Mindfulness, coaching. But behind the calm voice, I was walking on eggshells. There was a rule book. Yeah, no thanks. I ask questions. I live in the gray zones. This is space in between. No fluff, no filters. Welcome. You're in the right place.
Today, we're staying with that thread of silence, power, and emotional responsibility, and moving it into something many of us have experienced firsthand. Not just in romantic relationships, but in collaborations, friendships, community projects, even our inboxes. We're talking about ghosting. And no, I don't just mean the he never texted back kind. I mean the slow fade, the meeting that goes nowhere, the proposal you spent hours on only to be met with silence. Been there, done that many times. I mean the disappearance where there should have been something, anything honest. Let's get into it. What is ghosting really? Ghosting is when someone cuts off communication without explanation. No closure, no warning, no, this is where I am, where I'm at. It's walking out of a relationship, romantic, professional, or personal, without bothering to close the door behind you. And while ghosting sounds like a modern dating app problem, it's actually much bigger than that. Ghosting, ghosting shows up in friendships that suddenly go quiet, clients who seem excited and then vanish, community spaces where people slowly pull away without saying why. And it's not just personal. Ghosting shows up at work too. We just call it something else. We call it following up or just checking in or let me circle back. But often it's the same thing. You put in time, effort, energy, maybe even your heart, and then silence. No updates, no response, no thank you, just gone. It's ghosting in a professional outfit. It stings just as much, maybe more, because we're expected to act like it's not a big deal, like we shouldn't take it personally, like we're supposed to just move on. But let's be honest, being ignored at work can hit just as hard, especially when you've shown up fully and someone else couldn't even give you a sentence in return. It makes you question your value. It chips away at your confidence. And it sends the message that your time, your ideas, and your effort don't matter. And I felt it many times. I've been ghosted in my work from more than I care to admit. People request meetings, ask for proposals, tell me how inspired they are. I spend hours preparing, following up, sending what they asked for, and then nothing. No, thanks, but we've gone another direction. No, this isn't the right time. Just silence. And every time it leaves this strange mix of emotions: confusion, self doubt. Not because they said no, but because they said nothing. And let me be perfectly real. I've also ghosted others. Not just once or twice. Actually, it's been a pattern of mine, especially in the close relationships. I tend to avoid awkward conversations. I've pulled away without explaining. I left things unsaid because I didn't know how to say them, or because I didn't want to deal with how it might land. I'm not telling you this story as someone playing the victim of ghosting. I've done it a lot. Sometimes it felt easier. Sometimes I convinced myself it was kinder. I was kinder that way. But deep down, I knew I wasn't being kind. I was avoiding the discomfort of being honest. And we all have, because most of us weren't taught how to end things well, only how to leave. At its core, ghosting is often a form of emotional avoidance. Not always cruel. Sometimes it even feels kind. But it's really about escaping discomfort. Discomfort with hurting someone. Discomfort with being seen in complexity. Discomfort with saying, this isn't working. It's your nervous system doing what it was trained to do: avoid conflict, masks, avoid being perceived as the bad guy. But what ghosting actually does is hand all that discomfort over to the other person, and they're left to carry it alone. Ghosting creates what psychologists call ambiguous loss, a kind of grief without a clear ending. No closure, no goodbye, or any explanation. Just you and your thoughts spiraling in every direction. Did I do something wrong? Was any of that real? Should I follow up? Or am I just embarrassing myself now? It's not just about being rejected, it's about being erased. It doesn't just come out of nowhere. Ghosting is actually part of a larger pattern. It's a cultural pattern shaped by the world we live in. We've been trained to consume relationships the same way we consume content: fast, disposable, no explanation needed, swipe, mute, unfollow, archive, next, next, next. We've created a culture where we prioritize comfort over courage, where boundaries are often confused with avoidance, where silence is framed as self care, even when it's really self protection from responsibility. We ghost like it's really not a big deal. Like, I don't owe them anything, or it wasn't that deep. But most of the time, it's not indifference, it's avoidance. Avoiding discomfort, avoiding being seen, avoiding the mess of actually closing the loop. This right here is the space between. The impulse to vanish and the invitation to face what's uncomfortable with honesty. Ghosting thrives in cultures that reward image over honesty, where we don't want to be seen as messy or emotional or direct, where we would rather disappear than admit something got complicated. And that has consequence. It makes relationships more fragile. It teaches us that when things get hard, we bail. That people and conversations are replaceable. So here is what ghosting really cost us. Not just the connection, but the chance to grow. The moment where we could have learned something about ourselves. The moment where we could have modeled emotional responsibility. The moment we could have chosen honesty over comfort. When someone ghosts you, they don't just leave. They take the story you were part of and leave you to write the ending alone. And silence, it echoes loudly. You didn't matter enough for me to explain. That's what it feels like, even if it's not what they meant. And when we ghost, we rob ourselves of the courage it takes to show up fully, to say, this mattered, but I need to go. I don't know the perfect words, but I didn't want to leave without saying something. And let me be clear, this isn't about blaming anyone. It's about naming the habit. Because once we name it, we can start to choose something else. We can start practicing exits that are honest, imperfect, human. You don't need a long explanation or perfect message. Sometimes it's simple as, I don't know what to say. I don't want to continue this, but I want to thank you for what we shared. Or even, I don't know how to say this well, but I didn't want to disappear. Because emotional maturity isn't about staying forever. It's about living with care. We celebrate beginnings, but we do need to make room for endings too. So next time you feel the urge to ghost, ask yourself, am I doing this to protect them or to protect myself from discomfort? And what would honesty make possible here? Because a real connection isn't about who sticks around when it's easy. It's about who shows up when it's real, even at the end. In the next episode, I have a confession for you. So stay tuned. Until then, see you in the space between closure and confusion. Stay uncomfortable.